Hello, and welcome to Small Business 21st Century and today's segment of Build Your Difference. I'm your host, Pierre Walters, and today's very special guest is an innovative and acclaimed artist who has always loved the performing arts. She has degrees in business development and management, and over 23 years as an HR professional. However, she spent her formative years in training and performed on a regular basis, singing and acting as a child. She continued taking drama classes from high school and performed into her adult years. Today, she is a celebrated playwright. Her critically acclaimed play, Tears of the Soul, went on to win the DC Black Theater and Arts Festival in Washington, D.C., and was voted the festival favorite in the full-length play category. That work is now published for licensing through Hewer Publishing. Her work has been widely recognized as one of 69 artists from across the state of Maryland to receive an Independent Artist Regional Award for her play, Clay's Place, Inside My Blue Mind, which premiered at the Chesapeake Arts Center in 2021. She's the founder of the Angel Wing Project, a nonprofit performing arts company whose mission is to impact the community by providing uplifting, quality, entertaining shows and events that inspire an appreciation for and participation in the performing arts. She's working on a new play that'll be the third installation of her Memphis series. However, she's currently producing and directing August Wilson's 7 Guitars. So it's my distinct honor to welcome to the show playwright, producer, and director, the incomparable Angela Wilson. Welcome to the show, Angela.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh man, I am
Happy to be
so
here.
excited to have you here with us.
Yes. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. Oh
Yes,
my
I'm glad
goodness.
to be here. Thank you.
Angela, tell us a little bit more about the Angel Wing Project. Why did you start this organization?
Well, I started the Angel Wing Project back in 2015, actually. And the reason that I started the Angel Wing Project was because when I'm an implant. I'm not a Marylander. So as I was looking to get involved in the performing arts, I didn't really come across anything in my community that were doing the plays that I wanted to do and the plays that represented me. And so that's really why I started it. That was the impetus for me starting the Angel Wing Project. And I wanted to also be able to help artists hone their skills and and really bring quality stuff to the community. So I've been very fortunate to work with wonderful artists such as yourself to bring that quality and that excellence and also tell these very important stories.
Absolutely. I mean, it has been my pleasure as well to work with you and to be under your direction in these incredible plays. I want to know, you said that one of the things you said was that you were not finding the kinds of plays being produced that you really wanted to see or do, or that really spoke to you, that represented you. Can you elaborate more on that? What do you mean by that? What were you not seeing?
I wasn't seeing a lot of plays that really told about the African American experience. And so I typically do historical pieces. That's kind of my niche because I think it's very important to continue to share our history. And so I wasn't seeing that. I would see more traditional plays that you typically see in community theater. And I wanted to see things that I was represented in.
Tell us a little bit more about your background that sort of led the way for becoming who you are today as a playwright and as the founder of this incredible organization and as a director.
So I've always been involved and interested in performing arts, and I've always been involved and interested in learning Black history. So those things kind of always went together for me. I grew up in church singing, and I think I wrote my first I would call it a skit more so than a play when I was probably around 12 years old.
Wow.
I've always been a creative writer. And then I've directed choirs and things like that. So I started to realize you kind of know how to bring people together to produce something.
Yeah.
And so I started really taking it serious probably about 10 years ago. Taking it serious, getting more training, wanting to understand, really how to do it well. I knew I was creative, I knew I could write, but I want to get this out in front of people, which is a very vulnerable type of feeling. So I want to make sure I'm structurally and technically doing these things right. And so that's what I did. I'm self-taught in a lot of ways, but I've had different educational opportunities along the way.
Yeah, and I think, your expertise in this area, I think, really shows. You're now a published playwright,
Mm-hmm.
which means people can go and license your plays to do in theaters across the country.
Absolutely.
Right? So
internationally,
not even just here in the United States.
Right.
So one of the things I've always wanted to ask someone who is a living, breathing playwright is how do you determine what stories to tell? Like how do you just go about your life and then have an aha moment and then you make that into a play? Like, please, what do you do? How do you do that?
It's like you just said, you almost have an aha moment. It's just you're going through life, you're learning lessons, you're having experiences, you're seeing things happening, and something might inspire you or something may frustrate you, or it kind of just comes out of, I have something to say that I want to say it. And then turning it into a story is just a whole nother process. But usually there's something that will get my attention and I want to know more about it. And I might start looking, researching it more. And for example, Tears of the Soul, I really was looking more about the assassination. I wanted to, there's so many conspiracy theories, so I wanted to really why do people say this or that, or why do they say, it's the government, and why, I was looking into that part.
Angela, look, Tears of the Soul is very special to me. I want to dive into this. So
Yeah.
so stick with us, okay? Because it's getting good. Stay with us. We're going to take a short break, and when we return, we're going to have more with Angela Wilson.
I'm Essie Patha-Murgerson, an actor, but I'm also one of nearly 26 million Americans with diabetes. To help reduce the risk of serious health problems, my doctor and I tracked my A1C, which is my average blood sugar, over 2 to 3 months, and we created my personal treatment plan that includes lifestyle changes and medication to help me reach my goals. When you have diabetes, achieving your A1C goal is key. So talk to your doctor and visit bloodsugarbasics.com today.
And welcome back. You're watching Small Business 21st Century in today's segment of Build Your Difference with my special guest, playwright, producer, and director, Angela Wilson, founder of the Angel Wing Project. Now, prior to the break, we were just discussing how you go about writing your material. In fact, we were talking about a show that is very important to me, a show that won the DC Arts and Theater Festival in Washington, D.C., and a play that is published now by Hewer Publishing, Tears of the Soul. What was your process going into just conceiving of that idea and then writing that into a play? Give me the condensed version.
Yes, absolutely. So before the break, we were talking about, I was talking about how I was researching it, but I started learning about the sanitation workers.
Yeah.
And
the sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee,
during the year 1968, and what brought MLK to Memphis. So that is really what started me thinking about the people in Memphis and what was happening. And I just said, I want to write a story about these people. And once I decide on an idea like that, I kind of play around in my mind, like who's going to be in this story? What perspective is it going to be from? Like who's going to be telling it? Is it the kids, the parents? You know,
Right.
who the people out in the out in the sanitation department? Like what perspective am I going to use? I tend to lean towards families because I mean it's what I know. So you bring that truth of what you know and what you've experienced into these people.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Who inspires you?
Who inspires me? I get a lot of inspiration from entertainers or writers. Definitely August Wilson.
August Wilson.
Yes.
The great August Wilson.
Yes. It really is. I'd have to say I have a lot of inspirations and a lot of things inspire me, not just writing, but just art, period. And it could be visual art. It could be performing arts, acting, singing, dancing. All of those things kind of help put me in a certain place where I can feel like I can create.
Right. So being inspired by August Wilson, I mean, you're now producing and directing his work. So, I mean, to me, it's almost full circle. It sounds like. Tell us about the upcoming production of Seven Guitars. Tell me about why you chose that production of all of August's incredible work, and how you're feeling about being the one that's helming this and putting this together for all of us to see and experience.
So I've always admired his work. I was only familiar with a few of his plays, and I did a presentation a few months back, last summer, and it was about the women in August Wilson's plays. When I started, so that meant I had to read more of his work and find out about the women in these works, because we did a show called The Women of August, and we explained, we had different scenarios, their perspectives.
When you said we did a show, you mean
the Angel Wing Project
produced a show women.
It's called The Women of August. Okay. And so I started reading more of his work. And so I'd heard of Seven Guitars. I've always wanted to produce one of his plays, but I was more familiar with some other ones and not as familiar with Seven Guitars. I read several different plays. Joe Turner's Come and Gone. So read several different ones. And I just fell in love with Seven Guitars.
That was the one that spoke to you.
That was the one that spoke to me. And that was the one I wanted to direct. And so it's amazing. He's amazing. And as a playwright and a writer, delving into his writing, it's an incredible experience for me, because I understand the mechanics and what he's doing, and I can't wait to get that for that to come to life.
What, maybe if you could just share with us just one specific thing that really inspires you about this experience that really inspires you about August Wilson in his style.
So very unique style. If you look at any of his work, it's a very unique style. He has a poetic and a musicality to his work, and he has a truthfulness that's almost raw. I think he was ahead of his time. I think his messages still resonate today and are still very relevant. But he has a way of telling the truth in a way that draws you into it, as opposed to, I don't want to hear that. Sometimes you can say things truthfully that people are a little repelled by, as opposed to drawn in. But you're drawn in because of his style, with that musicality, that cadence that he has, that rhythm.
That's something I always hear you talking about in rehearsal, is the rhythm, the rhythm, and you're right. You can't miss it when you're seeing it fully produced and you see it come together in any of the films, or if you've had the if you've had the privilege of watching any of his productions on stage, you get this kind of. We were talking in rehearsal the other day about the iambic pentameter, I think is what it is for Shakespeare, and they've given it a name. And August Wilson sort of has his own rhythm, and I think that's really something. Does Angela Wilson have a rhythm in her pieces? When you're writing, are you writing to a rhythm as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I don't know if every playwright writes to their own rhythm, but to me it helps to bring out messages that you don't necessarily maybe hear in everyday language or everybody's talking about. So there's certain messages. So there may be a certain part of someone's monologue that is really important, and it has a rhythm to it to make it come out a certain way, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, for sure, I definitely feel like I have a rhythm and a pace.
Yeah. This is such a unique experience, being able to pick the brain of a playwright. Well, it's time for a short break. We're going to return with Angela Wilson, so stay with us after these important messages.
I think it goes around.
Come on, buddy.
I'm here for you.
Oh, it's gonna be great. Look.
Why is this so hard?
Let's go. We gotta get you in practice.
I read it. Look, and it's set.
And welcome back. You're watching Small Business 21st Century, and today's segment of Build Your Difference with my special guest, playwright, producer, and director Angela Wilson, founder of the Angel Wing Project. Now, prior to the break, we were discussing August Wilson and how you're inspired by his work, and how you have are now helming 7 guitars at the Chesapeake Arts Center. And I want to know, what is it that you want audiences to take away from this experience happening on October 21st and 22nd? I should know.
Yes, you should know. Yeah, I want audiences to have an experience when you come to the show, not just watch the show, but experience the show, take in the messages, take in the different characters as far as what they're going through. I always want audiences to see themselves. So that's always my goal, that you see somebody you know, whether it's yourself or your brother or your sister, and that you really relate. And then you walk away saying, wow, that was something that really inspired me, touched me, motivated me,
So who were the actors? Tell me, how did you get the cast together?
Oh, wow. So I'm very fortunate to have worked with some really, really talented people over these last 6-7 years, or how long it's been, 8 years. So I've really been fortunate and blessed, and a lot of them come back and continue to work with us. And so for this show, I was just very intentional about each character and what I knew about a lot of the artists, some that I knew, and then I auditioned a lot of new people that I didn't know as well. But some of the artists that I already knew, that I knew could embody the characters that I was looking for. And I have to say, it's cast perfectly in my opinion, but I actually I've had a couple other people say that to me as well. Like, how did you get them matched so perfectly? And so while we're still in rehearsals and still working out things, I think the audience they're going to see a beautiful show. I think it's going to knock their socks off, really.
I got to tell you, I am very excited to
Yes.
be in the show.
Yes.
And to be working with you and the Angel Wing Project. I mean, this is my first August Wilson production.
Okay.
So there is a learning curve, and I just am so grateful that I get to have this experience with you and the Angel Wing Project, because it really is. It's very deeply meaningful, but also it's a safe space to learn something new.
Yes.
And I think this is
Yes.
really just a pivotal experience for me in my own life. So I want to say thank you to you for that experience.
Yes. Oh, you're welcome. But thank you for coming back, because the play you were referring to, Tears of the Soul, which won the DC Festival, partly because you were part of that cast and played the lead in that cast, and you're playing a lead in this play as well. Your talent and your ability it's remarkable. So you get a chance, I get a chance, we're all getting a chance to just kind of stretch ourselves and see what we have inside of us. And we're going to bring it to the stage.
We are.
We're going to kill it.
We're going to kill it. We're going to kill it. So where can we get more information? I know there's a lot of people who are watching who love August Wilson, and some maybe have never seen an August Wilson show locally. You know, where can we go to get more information?
You can just go to our website, theangelwingproject.org, or you can follow us on social media, Facebook and Instagram.
Oh, that's exciting. And I know there's some incredible content happening on Instagram where people can get sort of a sneak peek into the process and how it's coming together. I think that's so cool. I love to see that kind of stuff on social media. But there is another sort of preview event coming up, like an opportunity to see a little bit of the show before October. What is that event coming up?
So we have residency at the Chesapeake Arts Center, so that's where we perform all of our shows. And they each year have an arts festival. It's called Arts in the Park, and they have entertainment all throughout the day. So they have bands, and then we perform a preview of the show, so people can see us live, and also just to generate interest in the show.
That's exciting. And this is one more time on the date for that one.
So that's September 30th. So that's coming up very soon. At the Chesapeake Arts Center.
So this is an opportunity for people to just experience arts in a festival format. They can experience a preview of our show, but they can also meet you. They can meet some of the other cast members and just kind of enjoy themselves and hopefully come back to see us again when the show goes up, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. I am so thrilled about the whole opportunity and really what you have created with the Angel Wing Project. It's remarkable, your influence in the community and bringing shows like August Wilson's 7 Guitars to our community, where, I mean, I couldn't tell you when was the last, August Wilson show. I couldn't tell you, at least not locally. And that's not to say if other theaters are out there producing it and maybe I just didn't hear about it, but I'm saying that's saying something. I mean, I always hear about Shakespeare. I always hear about Arthur Miller, etc. So it's so nice that you have said, you know what, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. I want to know, as we close, what do you look for when you're choosing a project? When people are thinking Angel Wing Project, moving forward, what do you look for when you're choosing and curating what kinds of shows you're going to be producing?
I look for meaning. I look for things that people can have conversations around. I want people to feel like they can ask questions after the shows, and we've had talkbacks after shows before where audiences can ask questions. I want people to, like I said, not just watch, but participate, and experience it and be able to walk away something that has changed a thought in their mind or expanded their knowledge, you know, in a certain way. Like, I never knew that. I never thought about that before. And we certainly had that reaction with Tears of the Soul.
We want people to watch, but we really want people to experience.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Angela. Thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. If you have any questions about today's segment, please see the information scrolling below. You've been watching Small Business 21st Century and today's segment of Build Your Difference. Thanks for watching and have a great week.